Hey everybody, it's Mark from the Family Woodworker channel. Hey, this week we're going on a road trip to a mid-Michigan specialty wood store. We're going to head off to a place called Michigan Barnwood. This is in a town called Mason, Michigan. It's a little bit south of Grand Rapids and Lansing on the map. And this place has some fantastic stuff, from reproduction hardware, cast iron hardware, accent pieces that you can use in the home. But the main draw to this type of facility is just the rescued wood products that they have. And they've got a ton of stuff here, from tree rounds to turning blanks. And what really caught my eye right away is a couple of pieces of cherry. And I'm going to grab those like right away. But in addition to that, they're considered to be an urban lumber mill, meaning when a tree is in danger or it is storm damaged or about to be cut down by, let's say, a power company, or it falls to disease, these guys will get called in to kind of rescue the tree, and rather than cut it up into firewood, they'll cut these beautiful slabs of walnut and everything that you can find here in the Midwest you'll actually find in the store. Beautiful white oak, red oak. But they also have other specialty products like these whiskey barrels, and also the whiskey barrel staves, and we wound up using these in a bar stool project a couple of weeks ago. But here's the gold. As the name would suggest, all of the barnwood, the reclaimed barnwood, is in the back, and it's wonderful. So from Michigan Barnwood, we also picked up, in the back, I found that they had these cutout pieces for different letters, cut from license plates from different states. Now, I would think you can find this stuff at a flea market, at a craft fair, where if you're trying to find specific letters, and that's what I did here. Now, I bought them individually, but I mean, if you've got a good source for this type of material, you can really have some fun putting these little plates together. And so now I'm just taking those and measuring them out, and I'm going to cut just a scrap piece of luan to hold those pieces together. And so we'll just essentially cut out the overall rectangular shape. It turns out to be about 12 1/4 by 6 1/16, but that'll vary depending on how many letters you might want to put on your project. So I'm also using some construction adhesive here because it's thicker, and it sort of allows me to squash those things down and get them permanently affixed here to that backer board. And we'll stick some weight on it, and now we've got to sit a little bit and wait. So while that dries, I'm going to turn my attention over to one of the two cherry wood blanks. And it's not perfectly round. You can see that it's a little wobbly, so I'm just going to do a quick cutoff here on my jig on the bandsaw, and we'll just cut off just a little excess here so that it turns out to be relatively perfectly round, and that'll save us a lot of time when we put it on the wood lathe. And now back to the frame for the license plate. I had this beautiful little piece of red cedar, and I had enough of it to cut 3 pieces that'll allow me to kind of build a frame for that particular license plate. And with those 3 pieces, I'm going to do some additional cuts here, where I'll cut a rabbet in the back of this particular piece so that the license plate can sit slightly inside the frame. And you can see a picture of it there up against the fence. And then I'm going to cut a 30-degree angle, and that'll be the outside of the frame. So there's the rabbeted internal inside piece, and then the 30-degree cut on the outside will be the exterior part to the frame. And so I just took basic cuts here on my chop saw at 45 degrees to put frame together. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be pretty good. And I'm just looking for it to be an added decorative piece to my wood shop. Because, you know, why not? And so here we'll just kind of put the pieces together, make sure that it's cut roughly. I believe I had to trim the long pieces just a little bit more, and that will wind up being my frame. and it looks pretty cool once we flip it over. So now back to the cherry bowl. So I've taken a little extra time to glue a sacrificial block of pine around block of pine, and that's what I'm going to use to attach this entire, once I add my mounting plate to the lathe. And when I cut into it, I can damage the pine, and that's fine. There's a lot of different color in here. There's some black in addition to the pink of the cherry, a little vanilla color here. So they told us that this was kiln dried, but I'm never completely sure about that until we turn it to a rough form and we let it sit. And very typically the wood will bend and reshape. So if we were to finish it all, chances are it might get ruined, or it'll be oblong, or it won't be round. So we'll do a rough turning on this, and then we'll let it sit and age and dry a little bit longer and then check it again. But for this video, we thought we'd give this a go. As always, read the instructions on power tools. Play it safe. When you're dealing with a wood lathe here, the wood chips are going to come flying off in every direction. You've got to have a full face shield to cover your face, and the chips are going to be relatively thick, so I'm not going to worry about a dust mask. Eventually, when we do the finish work, you're going to need, because of the sandpaper, you're going to need to wear a dust mask as well. But the face shield here will protect us from the chips. Let's get started. So I want to take a second to talk about my goofy long sleeve shirt. I always wear something like this in a lot of my videos because, I need to protect my arms, and you should too, from stain and paint and sawdust, especially when you got to run upstairs for dinner or lunch. But I also button the top button on this shirt just to keep the wood shavings out from falling down my back and down the front of my shirt. It's just sort of self-preservation here. So I'm just using a couple of different bits here to shape the bowl. The first thing I needed to do was to get it to a round shape, and now I can turn up the speed and I can worry a little bit more about the exterior shape of this bowl. So I don't have to spend too much time thinking about the final state of this, but I just wanted to get it into a rough bowl form. And so this round carbide bit does a great job cutting into it. Now flipping it around, this will be the inside of the bowl. To save myself some work, I got a Forstner bit, and I'm just going to drive that down the center here and carve out the center material. And then it's just a matter of going slow and shaping the inside part of this bowl. And as much as I like watching Forstner bits kind of cut through material, you're getting showered with shavings right here. So after a little bit of time, this is pretty close to my rough bowl blank right here. And I measured from the center of this bowl. I want to leave about a good 3/4 of an inch in terms of wood depth here at the bottom, and I don't think I'm taking much more off of the sides. So this is really as deep as I want to go. I could go a little bit deeper, but I wanted to leave some thickness here. If it dries any further, it's going to be this shape that deforms. And we'll let this sit for a while, and we'll check it and put it back on the lathe, and when we spin it, we'll be able to see if it's deformed. But I really like the look of this cherry. The black lines and all that stuff are going to jump out when it's finished, but you get a rough idea of the color just by looking at that. It's really pretty. So I'm looking forward to finishing this, but this is going to have to sit a while. Next, we'll take a quick look at the whiskey barrel legs that we also bought at Michigan Barnwood. So these are those whiskey barrel oak staves that we picked up sort of in the back room here. And I really like these for a variety of use. They'd make some great legs for a small coffee table or an accent table. They're an inch thick and look really great with the color from the stains from the steel bands. And also on the back of the legs, although I sanded off the loose charcoal, I wanted some of that black color to remain. And this is what we did the project based on, was this 13 different hardwoods and some epoxy to form this stool top. And those legs look really great with this particular stool project. Check that video out from a couple weeks prior to this posting. And so here are the two pieces together. I really like the license plate project. What a great little craft idea. And the bowl was great too. Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for the video. We really hope you liked it. And we also hope you subscribe to the channel. Take care.